Hi everybody, in this video we are going to discuss about the excretory products and their elimination, and the main topic we are going to discuss is about how the urine will be formed. Okay, so here it is entitled as urine formation. Urine formation. So here there are three steps under which the urine will be formed. There are three steps under which the urine will be formed. So we will be looking at stepwise how the urine will be formed in our body. So we know the main excretory organs that are present in our body are the kidneys. So kidneys are involved in formation of urine, and you should remember that it is nothing but it is filtering the blood from the nitrogenous metabolic waste, which we are calling as excretion process. So now, as we said, that urine formation will be taking place under three steps. The first one is called as the glomerular filtration. Glomerular filtration. And we know what is glomerulus, isn't it? So what is glomerulus? It is the blood vessels that are present in the nephron. Means the Bowman's capsule is there. So inside the Bowman's capsule there are blood vessels that are present, and these blood vessels are now called as what? Glomerulus we call it as. Say suppose if this is the nephron, okay, if this is the nephron, here there are blood vessels that are there. Okay, so here this part, okay, these are the blood vessels which will be called as what? Glomerulus. So the first step starts with the glomerular filtration, which is taking place here in the glomerulus. So what do you mean by glomerular filtration? What do you mean by glomerular filtration? It is nothing but called as what? Filtration of blood in glomerulus. Filtration of blood in glomerulus is called as what? Glomerular filtration. Now in the glomerulus means what? They are the blood vessels. In these blood vessels, when the blood is coming from one blood vessel, there are a capillary network. In this capillary network, there will be filtration of blood that will be taking place here. Okay, there will be filtration of blood that will be taking place into the Bowman's capsule. Now that we are calling it as what? Filtration of blood in glomerulus is called as glomerular filtration. Glomerular filtration. Now here blood is filtered in kidneys. So we should remember this point, that kidneys are involved in what? Filtering the blood. Filtering the blood. So blood is filtered in the kidneys. And we have to remember that about 1100 ml to 1200 ml of blood per minute will be filtered. That's a really huge amount. 1100 ml of blood to 1200 ml of blood. Approximately this much amount of blood per minute will be filtered in the kidneys. Where this is in the kidneys means with the help of what? The glomerulus. So that's why we are calling it as what? Glomerular filtration. Filtration of blood in glomerulus we are calling it as. And now how it is possible? How this filtration is possible? Which means it is because of the pressure that is created in the blood vessels. It is because of the pressure that is created in the blood vessels. So we have to keep in mind, if you recap the previous video, in that we studied that there is a blood vessel that is coming and entering into the Bowman's capsule. This is what the Bowman's capsule we are saying. So here I am talking about this blood vessel. Okay, this blood vessel is called as what? Efferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole, that which is entering into the Bowman's capsule, forming as what? Capillary network, which we are calling it as glomerulus. Which we are calling it as glomerulus. So here, now when we look at this efferent arteriole, which is bringing the blood now inside into this, okay, capillaries called as glomerulus, there is a pressure that is created. There is a pressure that is created, and we call it as what? Glomerular blood pressure. How this blood pressure is created? Point that you have to keep in mind is that if you look at this blood vessel that is entering into the Bowman's capsule, forming the capillary network known as the glomerulus, this blood vessel known as efferent arteriole is broad in size. It is broad in size when compared with the blood vessel which is coming out, which is narrow in size, which is called as what? Efferent arteriole. This is efferent and this is efferent arteriole. Efferent and efferent. So efferent arteriole is broad in size, which means if it is broad, it will be bringing more blood. So when more blood is entering and moving into the very minute blood vessels, which are called as what? Capillaries, named as what? Glomerulus, there will be pressure that is created. There is pressure that is created, and that pressure only we are calling it as what? Glomerular blood pressure, because more blood through the efferent arteriole, which is large in size, is rushing into these small blood vessels called as what? Capillaries, named here as glomerulus. So that's why there is pressure that is created, and the capillaries will be expanded, created with pores, and now the blood will be filtered. So glomerular blood pressure causes what? Filtration of blood. Glomerular blood pressure causes filtration of blood. Now here, this filtration will be taking place through three layers. What are those three layers? Here, the first one is endothelium of the glomerulus. So you have to remember point here, that is, whenever we are using the word glomerulus, it is nothing but the minute blood vessels called as what? Capillaries that are present in the Bowman's capsule. So this is what now? The glomerulus. We already studied. We have to recap. Bowman's capsule plus glomerulus, what we called it as? The Malpighian corpuscle. Okay, Malpighian corpuscle we call it as. Now here, the layers. Okay, so here we are talking about the layer of the blood vessels. That is now what? The endothelium. So here, if this is the blood vessel, this is the layer of what now called as endothelium. So the blood has to pass through what? The endothelium of the glomerulus, means capillaries, and then followed by the epithelium. Epithelium is a layer here that is of the Bowman's capsule. So epithelium is of Bowman's capsule. It is a layer of Bowman's capsule, and in between the epithelium and the endothelium and the epithelium, there is a middle layer that is present. There is a middle layer called as basement membrane. So here, in between the endothelium of the glomerulus and the epithelium of the Bowman's capsule, there is again basement membrane that is present. So through these three layers, now the blood will be filtered. Now once the blood is filtered, now we have to remember here the point, and a very, very important point for your objective part is this, that we have to remember that the Bowman's capsule, okay, the Bowman's capsule, which is made up of what? One layer called, what we call it as epithelium. Okay, this epithelium, in this epithelium, now there are specialized cells, we say, made up of the epithelium, specialized cells called as what? Podocytes. They are specialized cells called as what? Podocytes, we are calling them as. They will be forming as in an intricate manner, forming as filtration slits, or we call them as slit pores. Okay, we call them as slit pores, filtration slits or slit pores we call. Means if this is the Bowman's capsule, it will be forming as what now? The openings, and these openings are made up of specialized epithelium layer cells called as what? Podocytes. So through this, now the blood is filtered. So we have to remember that, name the cells, okay, which are present in the epithelium of the Bowman's capsule helping in filtration of blood, means they are the podocytes. Or name the filtration slits. The type of cells formed present in the filtration slits or slit pores are called as what? Podocytes. Okay, podocytes. Now here, as we said, that these are forming as what? Filtration slits or slit pores. Okay, slit pores. As we already said, that blood is filtered, okay, through these three layers. Because of what? The glomerular blood pressure. Please remember, blood is filtered because of what? Glomerular blood pressure. Please remember this. Because of this, okay, because of this, here only the proteins, except proteins that are present in the plasma, rest all will be filtered through these three layers. So except proteins, what are filtered? That are present in the plasma, all those nitrogenous metabolic waste will be filtered, but not the proteins that are present in the plasma. They will not come outside through these podocytes. That's why we are calling this process as what? Means we are calling this as the ultrafiltration. So what is ultrafiltration? Ultrafiltration means due to the glomerular blood pressure, the blood is filtered except proteins that are present in the plasma. In such case, we are calling this as what? ultrafiltration. So whenever you are coming across this word ultrafiltration, you should remember that it is because of the glomerular blood pressure, except proteins that are present in the plasma, blood is filtered, and that process we are calling it as what? Ultrafiltration. We are calling it as ultrafiltration. Now the question is, how much amount of this filtrate will be formed? Please remember, as this blood is filtered entering into the nephron, in the previous video we studied about the parts of the nephron: Bowman's capsule, then followed by proximal convoluted tubule, then U-shaped called as Henle's loop, having one limb which is descending limb, transverse limb, ascending limb we said, then followed by distal convoluted tubule, and then collecting duct we said. These are all the parts. Now point is that we will not call that which is filtered into the Bowman's capsule as urine. Now we will not use that word. Only at the end we will be using the word urine is formed. But until then, now we will be using it as filtrate. Remember this word? Filtrate. So due to the glomerular filtration, what will be formed? Filtrate is formed. That filtrate is now present in what? In the Bowman's capsule, and it will be moving now through the Bowman's capsule. And point is that it is represented as glomerular filtrate rate. Glomerular filtrate rate means how much amount of this filtrate will be formed per minute. How much amount of this filtrate will be formed per minute. This is very interesting and important also. Glomerular filtrate rate. Glomerular filtrate rate. So what is glomerular filtrate rate? It is the amount of filtrate that is formed per minute. Please remember this. What is glomerular filtrate rate? It is the amount of filtrate that is formed per minute. The amount of filtrate that is formed per minute is called as glomerular filtrate rate. So through the in the glomerular filtration, what is formed now? Glomerular filtrate means filtrate is formed. The amount of filtrate that is formed per minute is called as glomerular filtrate rate, we are calling it as. So it is approximately 125 ml per minute. Okay, how much amount of filtrate will be formed means it is about 125 ml per minute of filtrate will be formed per minute, we are saying, which means it is almost now equal to the per day. It will be almost equal to about how much? 180 liters per day. Just imagine, 180 liters per day the blood is filtered, but here all that filtrate will not be eliminated, okay, will not be coming out in the form of urine. Remember that. So again I am repeating the point. The amount of filtrate that is formed per minute is about 125 ml per minute. If it is per day, it is about 180 liters per day. Now it is highly impossible of what all is filtered, about 180 liters per day will not get eliminated from the body. If it is such, it is very important to remember that we will be losing so much of water and we have to take in so much of water back again, and that is highly impossible because we are terrestrial animals. And here 180 liters per day means, is it all eliminated? No, it will not get eliminated now, but still we will be talking about that. Okay, please remember that about 90% to 99% it is being absorbed back. We will be discussing about that. Now here, how this compulsorily, here we have to keep point that 125 ml of filtrate is formed per minute. We have to remember that. Is it compulsory that it will be maintaining this same approximately or same nearly, or whatever we are saying, nearly or approximately, will it maintains the same? Yes, of course it has to, it must and should. Then how it regulates this process of maintaining about filtrate about 125 ml per minute? It is like this. So this is again a very interesting and a very important point. You have to keep in mind that here I am using the short word here, juxtaglomerular apparatus. Juxtaglomerular apparatus. Again, juxtaglomerular apparatus. JGA in short we are representing. What is this JGA? Juxta means near to, nearby, or next to. Next to. Juxta, Juxta. Juxta means next to. Next to glomerular apparatus. Now this is the glomerular apparatus we are saying. Next to this glomerular apparatus only there is one particular area, we are calling it as what? Juxtaglomerular apparatus. Now juxtaglomerular apparatus is made up of DCT, distal convoluted tubule, and the efferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole, it is this. Okay, efferent arteriole. Juxtaglomerular apparatus is nothing but made up of what? Two parts of the nephron. Distal convoluted tubule and efferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole. These are the two parts. And these two together we call it as what? The juxtaglomerular apparatus. Means, let me be very clear here. Few cells of the DCT, distal convoluted tubule, and few cells of the efferent arteriole will be closely connected with each other. When they are closely connected with each other, that area where they are connected is called as what? Juxtaglomerular apparatus, we are calling it as. Now, it is this juxtaglomerular apparatus which will be responsible to identify the glomerular filtrate rate, whether it is increasing or decreasing or whether it is maintaining it as normal. It is this juxtaglomerular apparatus that will be maintaining. So, juxtaglomerular apparatus is a very sensitive region and it is of cellular modifications of both the cells that are present in the distal convoluted tubule and efferent arteriole. Both these cells togetherly, some of the cells of DCT and efferent arteriole formed as juxtaglomerular apparatus, which is a very sensitive region of cellular modifications responsible in identifying the glomerular filtrate rate. So now, based upon that, whenever there is decrease in the glomerular filtrate rate, whenever there is fall of glomerular filtrate rate, means what? Whenever the filtrate is not formed about 125 ml per minute, if it is decreasing, immediately there is decrease or fall in glomerular filtrate rate is identified by what now? The juxtaglomerular apparatus. This will be identifying. So, decrease in the glomerular filtrate activates the juxtaglomerular apparatus. Juxtaglomerular apparatus. And juxtaglomerular apparatus immediately stimulates the secretion of what? Renin. A very, very important point that we will be discussing about this little more much clearly. Okay, renin. Renin, there is another word, R-E-N-N-I-N. Okay, please remember, the pronunciation is the same, but the functions are different. You have to keep that point in mind. Okay, renin and renin, here both. This is regarding with the digestive system, whereas this is in the excretory system we are talking about. Now here, when there is decrease in the glomerular filtrate rate, it acts upon it is identified by the juxtaglomerular apparatus and stimulates the production of what? Renin. Okay, helps in releasing the renin. And this renin now responsible for acting upon what? The glomerular blood flow. The blood that is now coming through what? The efferent arteriole. It acts upon the glomerular blood flow, and this renin is responsible in stimulating the more, okay, or for allowing more blood to pass through what now? The efferent arteriole. Now through the efferent arteriole, there will be more blood now entering. Because why it is required? Because the filtrate rate is decreasing less than what? 125 ml per minute. But it should not happen like that. So that's why what happened now? Renin is released, and this renin will be stimulating the glomerular blood flow. Releases this renin, comes and stimulates the glomerular blood flow, thereby increasing what now? Glomerular filtrate rate, and bringing this glomerular filtrate rate to normal. Normal means how much now? 125 ml per minute. 125 ml per minute. And this is the point which is very, very important and regularly asked question about these two. You have to remember, podocytes and renin. Very, very important points that we have to keep in mind. Please remember, if it is double N, it is regarding with the digestive system, and if it is R-E-N-I-N, it is regarding with the excretory system, and we have to keep this point. And these are all the points that we should keep in mind when we are talking about the urine formation as the first step. Now, the next one, if you are seeing the reabsorption, this is the second step. This is the second step in urine formation. The first one is glomerular filtration, we said, and the second step is reabsorption. Now, if you are seeing in the reabsorption, now we already said how much amount of urine or filtrate will be formed, how much amount of filtrate will be formed in the Glomerular filtration means it is about 180 liters per day. But all that will not be eliminated or excreted out from our body. It is not excreted out from our body. Remember, about 99% of this filtrate is reabsorbed. That's why we are calling it as reabsorption. Okay, 99% of that, whatever the filtrate is formed, about how much? 180 liters per day. From that, 99% is reabsorbed. Then nearly or approximately how much amount of urine will be formed and released is, it is about 1.5 liters per day. 1.5 liters per day will be released. Okay, will be released. And now during the reabsorption, very important points we have to remember is that the reabsorption may be taking place either by active reabsorption or by passive reabsorption. And you know very clearly the meaning of these words, okay, active and passive. Active means it will be using energy. Passive means it will not be consuming or using energy. So through active reabsorption and through passive reabsorption, okay, it will be seen in the urine formation. So in active reabsorption, glucose is reabsorbed, amino acids are reabsorbed, and even sodium ions are reabsorbed. Even sodium ions are reabsorbed by active reabsorption. Passively or passive reabsorption will be taking place in the case of what? Nitrogenous base. Passive reabsorption is taking place in the case of nitrogenous base. And also in the initial parts of the renal tubules, this water will also be passively reabsorbed. Water is also passively reabsorbed. Please remember. So active reabsorption will be taking place, passive reabsorption will be taking place. Okay, in the case of reabsorption, as we said here, it is reabsorbed. By what it is reabsorbed? By the different parts of the renal tubule. By different parts of the renal tubule. Okay, by different parts. Okay, by different parts of renal tubules. Okay, renal tubules. What are the renal tubule parts? Means what? As we said, the Bowman's capsule, we said, proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop with descending limb and ascending limb, and the distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct. These are all the parts of what? The renal tubule. So in various parts, we are going to discuss in the next video, in various parts, okay, these substances will be reabsorbed. And that is the second step in what? In the urine formation. So here we studied about the second step in urine formation, that is called as what? Reabsorption. Now we will discuss about the third step. We will discuss about the third step now. And now let us look at the third step, the last step in the formation of urine. In the urine formation, this is the last step we are discussing, called as secretion. Secretion. So here the tubular cells, okay, the tubular cells, we already said the renal tubule. See, suppose if this is the, okay, nephron, okay, if this is the nephron, okay, if this is the nephron, different parts of the nephron, okay, different parts of the nephron will be, okay, secreting the different types of the, okay, different types of these substances or ions, we can say. Now the tubular cells of the tubulars, okay, means renal tubule, either it may be proximal convoluted tubule or Henle's loop, distal convoluted tubule, or the collecting duct. From any of these parts, the tube, there are cells called as what? Tubular cells, we are calling them as. They will be secreting the hydrogen ions, potassium ions, or ammonia into the filtrate. Filtrate means what here? From the, okay, the efferent or when it is filtered through the glomerulus, it is now moving through what now? Different parts of the renal tubule. So whatever is moving inside this nephron will be called as what now? We will call it as filtrate. We will be calling it as filtrate. As the filtrate is moving, depending upon the concentration gradient, very important, as we are going for the next two videos, we will be discussing about this very clearly. As the filtrate is moving, now into this filtrate that is moving, the tubular cells, the cells of the tubule, means in the proximal convoluted tubule or Henle's loop or the distal convoluted tubule or collecting duct, from these cells called as what? Tubular cells, they will be secreting all these substances into the filtrate. Okay, they will be secreting it into the filtrate. Now, for what purpose? It is very important for this step actually, known as secretion. Why? It is because the most important function of for this to take place is helps in maintenance of ionic and acid base balance of body fluids. If this is not taking place, it is highly impossible for this particular function. So H plus ions, potassium ions and ammonium ions are secreted from the tubular cells into the filtrate of the nephrons. This is important, and this is the main function of this secretion is helps in maintenance of ionic and acid base balance of body fluids. Okay, so in this way the urine will be formed. The urine will be formed, and whatever is collected after the distal convoluted tubule entering into the collecting duct, that is only called as urine. But otherwise, up to whatever is moving through the proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, distal convoluted tubule. Okay, until here we will be calling that whatever is filtered as what? Filtrate only. But once it enters into the collecting duct, then we can call that as what? Urine. Then we can call it as urine. So in this, under these three steps, urine formation will be taking place. The first one, as we said, glomerular filtration, and the second one, as we said, reabsorption, and the third one is secretion. These are the three steps under which the urine formation will be taking place. Urine formation will be taking place. Thank you so much.